upgrade to quality professional art supplies, how long should you keep using the student grade? I know a lot of us start with these kits and it's got pencils and colored pencil and every medium you could think of in there. Those are great, but I really prefer those more for doodles, for sketchbooks, for color compositions for sketchbooks. However, if you are trying to learn a medium, starting with student grade, which really, I don't even think student grade is a proper term. It's just cheap, doesn't work so great quality. We see these videos where YouTubers who are professional artists or are already really good, they'll be like, look what I can do with Crayola. That's because they're a professional. If you're a beginner, you're not going to get those results with Crayola. You're not going to learn to blend your colored pencils well. You're not going to learn how to mix your colored pencils well because they don't blend well in the first place. They don't layer that great. Can you give me those supplies and I can make something great with it? Yeah. But that's because I'm using years and years and years of experience to be able to manipulate that medium into sort of working. You could give me a cup of coffee and a paintbrush and I'm gonna make something cool with it, just because of my understanding of values and all of those things. So some of these videos that you see on YouTube, I think they're very deceiving or misleading in people thinking, no, you can learn with Crayola. No, praying watercolor, they're awesome. I'm gonna get a bunch of thumbs down for that because some people really like praying for some reason. You do you. What happens is if you're actually taking this seriously, you're trying to go further than just doodling. Let's say Reeves was one that was bad, and Royal Langnickel, and I'm not even going to go into the generic crap, but a lot of those do not layer right, not like Liquitex. And it's funny because I use Liquitex Basics, which is student grade, but they're light fast. They just perform well. Anyway, those paints with Liquitex, let's say I'm doing a glazing, it works fine. It works great. If I'm teaching somebody to try to use those techniques and they're using a crappy brand, a crappy paint, what happens is they'll put the second layer over, even though that first layer was dry, and it starts to lift up. It doesn't adhere to the canvas right. That's something that does not happen with Liquitex Basics. So if somebody's new, they're trying to learn how to use a new medium, that's going to be extremely frustrating and discouraging. The idea of, well, I'm just a beginner, so I can use the cheap stuff. Again, Liquitex Basics is fairly cheap, but that holds a lot of people back and a lot of people give up. A lot of people will get these super cheap colored pencils thinking, well, let's see, I don't even know if I'm gonna like it. I'm just gonna give it a try with this set of 200 pencils or however many, that I might be over exaggerating, but this larger set, I'm gonna get this big old set and see if I like it. You're not gonna know if you like it. That isn't a good example of what that pencil is. So occasionally you'll find some cheap one that kind of works okay, but a lot of them don't blend well. They don't layer well. They just don't perform in a way that gives you a good idea if you would even like them. And it can be very, very discouraging for a new artist who's just like, oh, I'm bad at colored pencil. It won't layer like that person's did. Well, yeah, that pencil can't layer like the pencil I was using. That's largely the problem. So what do you do instead? You're not going to want to invest hundreds and hundreds of dollars into something like that you're not sure if you're going to like. Get a set of 12. Get a set of 12 polychromos and add on an opaque, like a Derwent Drawing Chinese White or Derwent Light Fast White. To that set, that's all you need. That set of 12 is enough for you to mix any color you need. You really don't need every color available. Get quality supplies, just get fewer of them. Get just black and white. Then you're focusing on your values. So not only are you helping yourself by doing a lot of black and white pieces and really getting a good understanding of values before you jump into the color, you are using quality materials that are going to blend right. They're going to layer right. Same thing, acrylics, you can do just oils, just black and white. Don't feel like you need to get every color out there. I understand where somebody isn't going to want to invest tons and tons of money if they don't know if they're going to like it, but you're not going to find out if you like it if you're using really low quality materials that just won't do what they're supposed to do. I recommend, even while you're learning, get the good stuff. Now, the exception for me on that would be kids. Usually once the student hits 12, that's when I go into the good stuff. Before that, most of what they're doing is doodling anyway. There's just something about kids that their brains don't really understand art. Like, it's weird because with kids, if you start out a 4-year-old or a 3-year-old out with violin, that's the age you want to start when they're really little. You don't want to wait till they're 20 to start with violin. But art is different. There's something about the way that the brain works that once a student hits about 12 years old, I find that all of a sudden it's like, oh, things make sense to me that just completely, no matter how many times I was shown, did not make sense before. So that would be one exception. With kids, let them, whatever the cheap stuff is, just let them play, let them have fun. I don't take art classes with the younger ones as serious. The main thing with a little one is that I just don't want to discourage them. Let them have fun. But once a student hits about 12, that's when I say jump into the higher grade stuff. You don't have to get the most expensive, but don't get the cheapest crap you can find on Amazon either. That is not going to make for a fun time for anyone involved. Now, if you're thinking, well, I can't get the good stuff right now, I don't have any money, I understand this economy is a disaster, but let's say you're thinking, I can't get the expensive stuff, I give up, I'm not going to draw. No, that is not what I'm saying at all. I want you to create. I don't care what you use to create. Get that cup of coffee and a piece of paper, and like, I don't care what materials you use. I care that you create. But when you're shopping, when you're deciding, okay, it's time for me to get some new materials. Should I get the good stuff or should I get the cheap stuff? Get the good stuff, just less colors. I would rather see you have fewer of better than a whole lot of crap that isn't going to help you grow.